Hi everyone, welcome to the session again. So in this session, we will be discussing about the disk that is available for the VM. So let's start. So let me tell you what happens. If I take the remote of this VM, so this is my Windows-based VM. If I take the remote of this, so whether it is Linux or Windows, it doesn't matter. So I'm going to connect with this VM. I will just take the public IP of it. Then let's connect. So I will do the method mstsc. So here I will just copy paste the public IPs, which is this one, then connect, enter the password. See, generally what happens when I deploy the virtual machine in Azure, so there are some requirement of the disk, there are some additional requirement of the storage that we need to fulfill. So we are going to discuss about that topic itself. So this server has been loaded now. And if I go to the file explorer, let's give it some time to get refresh also because it is just loaded. So we will wait for a few seconds. Yeah, let me cancel this one. Yeah. See what happens if I go to the file explorer, like if I click on the window button and if I go to the file explorer here. So you can see under the this PC option, there are two drives, the C drive and the D drive. On the C drive, it is Windows, and on the D drive, it is a temporary storage. If you open the C drive, so you are able to see all the operating system related files here, just like we have in the Windows. So जितने भी OS से related information है, OS से related configuration file है, everything is available here. And if you go to the temporary storage, so you would see there is one folder with the name of collect cached logs tab. And if you open this, so there are some logs file here that you can open and you can just read about it. See what happens when I talk about the Azure environment, and in the Azure, if I create any server, let me open the word to make you more understand. See what happens when I say Azure VM, Azure Virtual Machine की जब मैं बात करूं, so we have three categories of storage to connect with. One is called OS disk. यहाँ पे तीन टाइप की डिस्क होती है या स्टोरेज आप कह लो. So one is OS disk, another one is temporary disk, and the last one is data disk. So these three are the disk which is available as part of the Azure VM. OS disk and temporary disk. These two are the storages which will be available by default along with the Windows. अगर आपने Windows या फिर if you have installed the Linux operating system, so these two disks will be available by default. Like this one is default along with the OS, and this is also default along with the VM. So ये दो आपको आएगी ही आएगी, and here you can specifically see we have the two drives. One is C drive and another one is the D drive. C and D. So आपकी जो C ड्राइव है that is the OS disk, and आपकी जो D ड्राइव आएगी हमेशा that is a temporary storage, the temp disk you can say. What is the significance of these two disks? Under the OS disk, all the data related to the operating system is going to be stored. So OS से related जो भी data है, जो भी files है, that will be available inside the OS disk. And when I talk about the temporary disk, so under the temporary disk, whatever startup related logs and whatever the configuration related logs are there for the VM, that is going to get stored in the temporary storage. So इस वजह से जब आप यहाँ पे C drive में जाते हो, so it's a normal विंडो बेस्ड फाइल्स, बट व्हेन यू गो टू द डी ड्राइव, सो यहाँ पे आपको लॉग्स देखने को मिलेंगे. So if you open this, there are different categories of log that you can refer: event logs, painter logs, runtime agent logs. So these are the logs here. See what happens if I want to keep any data. Let's suppose I have any application data that I want to store, or if I have any data that I want to keep in the VM. So Microsoft does not recommend to keep it in the OS disk and temporary disk. Microsoft बोलता है कि आप OS disk या temp disk में अपना data मत रखो, because OS disk is generally for storing the Windows related information. जो भी आपकी ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम की रिलेटेड इन्फॉर्मेशन है वो सब ओएस डिस्क में है. सो माइक्रोसॉफ्ट डज नॉट से दैट प्लीज कीप एनी एडिशनल डेटा हियर, नो, बिकॉज इट इज गोइंग टू इम्पैक्ट द परफॉर्मेंस. और अगर ओएस डिस्क करप्ट होती है तो आपके डेटा पे भी इम्पैक्ट आएगा. परफॉर्मेंस पे तो इम्पैक्ट आना ही आना है. स्टार्टअप्स में इश्यूज आ सकते हैं. इट कैन lead to the performance issues, plus if there is some issue with the operating system, it can lead to the data issues as well. Microsoft does not recommend to keep any data in the temporary disk as well, क्योंकि temporary disk के अंदर आपके जितने भी startup logs है वो सबके सब सेव होते हैं, and there is no guarantee that whatever data is inside the temporary disk that is going to be intact. Data can be lost. Microsoft simply says कि temporary disk जो है सिर्फ logs को retain करने के purpose से ही बनाई गई है. So if you will keep any data in this disk that is going to get lost, Microsoft is not responsible for it. So if you go to the temporary disk also, under the D drive, there is one notepad file. If you get inside this, there is a notepad file. See, data loss warning. So if you open this, you can simply see the warning here. मतलब ये default warning है. This is a temporary disk only. Any data that you will store on this drive is subject to loss and there is no way to recover it. आप इसके बारे में पढ़ भी सकते हो इस लिंक से. So Microsoft कोई गारंटी नहीं लेता if you will keep any data in the temporary storage, because it is just for the logs. So किस केस में हमारा डेटा यहाँ पे lost हो सकता है, that is one question. So in case you perform any redeployment of the virtual machine, redeployment हम बाद में discuss करेंगे. So if you do the redeployment of the VM, whatever data is there inside the temporary disk, that is going to get lost. वो data सीधा lost होने वाला है. So that is one condition. So don't keep any data in the temporary disk. You can keep the data in the OS disk, but it is not recommended by the Microsoft. So in case if I have any application data, any log data, or any data that I want to store in the VM, where should I keep it? So Microsoft says that please attach one additional data disk. If you have any data that you want to store, so please attach one additional data disk for that purpose. So these two disks will be default, but this has to be attached manually. आपको इसको बाद में attach करना पड़ता है as per the requirement. If you have the requirement, you can attach it. If you don't need it, leave it as it is. So in my case, you can see in my VM, there are only two drives. This will be default, C drive and D drive. But in case if I want to keep some data, I will have to attach one data disk as well. So let's see practically how we can do that. So I will go to my Azure portal. Here I need to go to my virtual machine first. So on which VM you want to attach the data disk, you can just go there. From here, what we need to do is scroll down to the left, and under the settings, there is one option of disk. So just click on the disks option. And here you can see there is one OS disk, जो मेरी C drive है वो यहाँ पे आपको दिखाई दे रही है. And there is one option of data disk. So if you want to attach the data disk, you can just click on create and attach a new disk. अगर आपके पास पहले से ही डिस्क अवेलेबल है और आप उसको इस VM में ऐड करना चाहते हो, then you will click on add existing disk. Otherwise, create and attach a new disk if you want to create a new one. So in my case, I don't have any existing disk available. I will just click on create and attach a new disk. And here you have to define a LUN number. LUN basically means logical unit number. So sequencing number होता है ये कि यहाँ पे जितनी भी डिस्क अटैच होगी उनको कैसे सीक्वेंस में आप देख पाओगे. So 0 1 2 3 4 ऐसे करके स्टार्ट होता है. So let's keep it default. I will start with the 0. आप एक VM में मल्टीपल डिस्क अटैच कर सकते हो. आप इस सिंगल VM में लेट सपोज यू वांट टू अटैच 3 डिस्क, so you can do that. Then you have to give the disk name. So I will give any name here. I will give disk 01. Then you have to choose the storage, वही option, premium SSD, then standard SSD and standard HDD. So वही तीन टाइप में से कोई भी एक, depending upon your requirement of the performance. I will normally go with the standard HDD option, or I can go with the standard SSD option as well. प्रीमियम में भी जाना है, सो यू कैन गो, डिपेंड्स अपॉन योर रिक्वायरमेंट. देन यू हैव टू डिफाइन द साइज कि कितने साइज की डिस्क आपको अटैच करनी है. सो आई वांट टू गो विथ 8 GB ऑफ डिस्क, सो आई हैव अटैच्ड इट. बाकी ये सब डिफॉल्ट रहेगा. दीज आर द परफॉर्मेंस IOPS, इनपुट आउटपुट ऑपरेशन पर सेकेंड. नाउ क्लिक ऑन अप्लाई and it is creating a disk, you can see. And for the disk there will be additional charges. जो भी डेटा आप डिस्क के अंदर रखोगे उसके एडिशनल चार्जेस हमें देने पड़ते हैं. सो इट इज डिफरेंट देन द VM. इट इज अ सेपरेट रिसोर्स एज वेल. ये एक सेपरेट रिसोर्स है. So now the disk has been attached with the name of disk 01. The size is 8 GB, but if you go inside the VM, you cannot see that disk here. Because whenever we attach any disk from the Azure portal, we have to mount it inside the VM, inside the window. So what is the procedure? You need to open the run inside the VM, type disk mgmt.msc disk management.microsoft console, that is the full form. Click on OK. Here you have to mount it. So you can see one disk got added, disk 02 यहाँ पे add हुई है. Click on OK button. And now you can see we already have one C drive, disk 0 के नाम से यहाँ पे दिखा रहा है. तो ये LUN numbers है, disk 0, 1, 2. ये inside the VM configuration है. Disk 0 में हमारे पास C drive attached है around 127 GB. Disk 1 में हमारे पास around 16 GB की temporary storage attached है. और मैंने एक और अभी disk attach करी है, which is coming here as disk 2 in the LUN. And इसका size 8 GB around है. So it is unallocated space. It is not in use. You can simply right click on this and you can click on new simple volume. Then next, फिर यहाँ पे जिस साइज की आपको डिस्क बनानी है इस स्पेस को यूज करके यू कैन जस्ट डिफाइन दैट साइज इन द MB. आई विल बी यूजिंग द फुल साइज, सो जो डिफॉल्ट है वही रहने देते हैं. पूरा 8 GB की डिस्क बनाऊंगा मैं. क्लिक ऑन नेक्स्ट. देन यू कैन डिफाइन द लेटर, किस लेटर से आप डिस्क बनाना चाहते हो. सो हियर यू कैन नॉट सी C and D because C and D is already in use in this VM. So मैं F लेटर से बनाता हूँ फॉर एग्जाम्पल. नेक्स्ट, यू कैन गिव द नेम ऑफ योर ड्राइव एज वेल. सो मैं एक नेम दे देता हूँ, डेटा ड्राइव. Then click on next and finish. Now it is going to create one additional drive for me. See, it has been created. And now if I go to my file explorer, so under this PC you can see I have web drive as well where I can keep my data. So यहाँ पे मैं अपना data रख सकता हूँ. And whatever data I will keep, accordingly I have to pay the charges. So if you don't need this, you can always go to the portal. You can detach. आप यहाँ से click करके इसको detach कर सकते हो. Then apply. Now this will be detached from the VM. But वो disk अभी हमने delete नहीं करी है. It is there on the portal itself. So let me show you. पहले तो मैं आपको detach करके दिखाता हूँ. So it is done now. If I go to the VM, now the drive has been removed. And if you open the disk management also, from here as well, you cannot see that. So if I want to connect it again, it is not deleted. It's a separate resource. If you search for the disk option here, if you will simply search for the disk, so it will come up. Let it search. See, there is one option, disk. If you click on this, so you would be able to see this is my OS disk 127 GB का दिखा रहा है, and this is my disk 01 जो मैंने अभी create किया था 8 GB का. So if you open this, you can see the details. So these are the separate resource for which we are paying separately. See, these are the details. Now I want to connect this disk again with the virtual machine. So it's not something that you can connect with the same VM. If you want to connect this disk to the different VM, that is also possible. But make sure that the disk which is attached with the VM, the same disk cannot be attached to another VM until it is detached from the first VM. So एक time पे एक disk एक ही VM पे attach होती है. If you will enable the sharing mode of the disk, then it is going to get attached with multiple VM at the same time. But अगर वो sharing mode में नहीं है, then you can only attach one disk with one VM at a time. So that is also one of the scenario based question that you should know. Now if I go to this VM, here if I scroll down, so under the disk, right now there is no data disk. And I don't want to create a new disk. I already have a disk on the portal, so I want to use that one. So I will click on attach existing disk, then choose the disk name. So this is the disk 01, then click on apply. Now it is going to update in my VM as well. And regarding this, all the logs are going to get generated inside the activity log. Now, if you further go inside the VM, so you can see the disk has been attached here. Disk attached हो गई है, and we did not have to mount it because already we had mounted it earlier. And now, if you go to the File Explorer, so you can see the app drive has also come. So this is how the disk works. And if you want to delete the disk separately, so disk पे जाके आप उसको delete भी कर सकते हो. You can separately go to the disk option here, and this is the disk. You can just click and delete this one anytime. So separately आप इसको delete भी कर सकते हो. That is also possible. So detach is a different thing and delete is a different thing. So this was related to the disk. Now let me show you some more option. In case, let's suppose this is my VM. So this is my VM, and currently it is having the size of D2S V3. ये size है मेरे VM का D2S V3, where I am getting 2 CPU and 8 GB of RAM. I want to change this. So if you want to change the size of the VM, you can always scroll down. You can go to the size option under the availability plus scale. Just click on size. And from here you can choose the size in which you want to upgrade to. So जिस size में आपको upgrade करना है, you can always choose it. So currently it is D2S V3. Let's suppose I want to make it to D4S V3. मेरे को इसमें जाना है या फिर मेरे को किसी और कैटेगरी में जाना है. Let's suppose I want to go to this one. I want to get to this one, D2ASV4 general purpose 2 CPU 8 GB RAM. या तो इसमें जाना है, किसी में भी जाना हो, accordingly you can choose it. So if you want to upgrade to D4SV3 with 4 CPU and 16 GB RAM, just choose it, click on resize, then again resize, and let's wait. So during the resize, your VM is going to get restarted. So you cannot do it on the running VM. So you need the downtime क्योंकि सर्वर यहाँ पे आपका रीस्टार्ट होगा. एंड यू कैन सी माई कनेक्शन टू द रिमोट इज ऑल्सो लॉस्ट क्योंकि वीएम मेरी शट डाउन हो रही है. सो रीस्टार्ट प्रोसेस होता है जब भी हम डिस्क अटैच करते हैं. वी कैन नॉट डू इट ऑन द रनिंग सिस्टम. अभी जो मैंने डेटा डिस्क अटैच करी थी, इट गॉट कनेक्टेड विद द रनिंग वीएम. उसके लिए हमने वीएम रीस्टार्ट नहीं किया, सीधा डिस्क क्रिएट करी एंड इट गॉट अटैच्ड इन द रनिंग एनवायरनमेंट. बट व्हेन यू आर रीसाइजिंग द वीएम, ऑलवेज मेक श्योर the server is going to get restarted, so you must need the downtime scenario. So let it resize and let's wait. Now it has been resized. Now if you can see, the size has been changed. It is D2S D4S V3. And if you go to the overview, so यहाँ पे भी size में changes मिलेंगे आपको. If you refresh, let me refresh the entire page. So now you can see the size has been incremented. 4 CPU 16 GB RAM हो चुका है. So if you want to downgrade, downgrade is also possible. ऐसा नहीं है कि आप upgrade ही कर सकते हो, आपको downgrade करना है. So downgrade is also possible in the scenarios. Now, for example, let's suppose if you want to increase the size or if you want to change the size of your OS disk, so you can simply go to the disk option और वहाँ से आप sizes change कर सकते हो. So this is my OS disk. We can just click on this. It will take me to the disk console, and on the left side there is one option of size plus performance under the settings. So right now it is 127 GB as standard SSD LRS, and it is attached with my VM. ये मेरी VM पे attach है. कौन सी VM पे? VM01 पे. So if you go to the size plus performance option, you can always change the size from here. तो लेट्स सपोज इफ आई वांट टू मूव टू 64. सो ये कह रहा है कि डिस्क के साइज को आप रिड्यूस नहीं कर सकते बिकॉज वी हैव द डेटा हियर, सो इट इज गोइंग टू गेट डेटा लॉस. बट यू कैन ऑलवेज इंक्रीज इट. सो फ्रॉम 128 इफ यू वांट टू इंक्रीज इट टू 256, सो यू कैन ऑलवेज डू इट. एंड वन मोर थिंग, whenever you want to change the size of the OS disk, your disk should be either unattached, या तो आपकी डिस्क VM पे कनेक्टेड नहीं होनी चाहिए, तब आप इंक्रीज कर पाओगे, या तो आपकी VM डीएलोकेटेड होनी चाहिए. सो इन द रनिंग environment, in the running VM, you cannot change the size. That option is not available. So in case you want to give your custom sizes, you can also type your size. जैसे मान लो मुझे 200 GB का बनाना है, so I can type that size here and click on save. So that is also one of the thing that I can do. But one important thing that I would like to discuss here is, आप कस्टम साइज दे भी दोगे, स्टिल यू हैव टू पे फॉर दिस प्राइसिंग ओनली. सो जो भी नियर बाय प्राइस पोर्टल में मेंशन है, यू हैव टू पे फॉर इट, बिकॉज माइक्रोसॉफ्ट वर्क्स ऑन टू टाइम्स कॉस्ट, लाइक 128 का टू टाइम्स 256, 256 का टू टाइम्स 512. सो इफ यू विल कीप लेट्स से 150 GB ऑफ हार्ड डिस्क, अगर आपने 150 GB की कस्टम हार्ड डिस्क भी बना दी, दैट विल बी क्रिएटेड, बट यू हैव टू पे द प्राइस ऑफ 256 GB, क्योंकि 156 के नियर बाय 256 आ रहा है. So you have to pay it accordingly. So this is one of the important fact. Size आप कुछ भी ले लो, but you have to pay the charges as per the charter. So in order to increase it, if you go and shut down the VM, deallocate the VM, then this option will get highlighted. Then you can do it. But in case if I want to increase or decrease the size of, let's suppose, data disk, I am in the VM, I am in the disk option. This is my data disk. I want to change the size of it. Right now it is 8 GB. If you click on the disk, and if you go to size plus performance, so from 8 GB, let's suppose I want to make it to 16 GB, so I can click and we have the option to save. I can give the custom size as well. So if I click on the save, the size is going to get changed. Size मेरा यहाँ पे change हो जाएगा. So we don't have to shut down or deallocate the VM if I want to change the size of data disk. So regarding any additional data disk, we don't have to change any sizes. We don't have to restart or deallocate the VMs. We can do it on the running basis. But if we are changing any OS disk size, then we have to deallocate the VM, or we can detach the disk from the VM. So that is something that you need to remember. अगर OS लेवल पे कोई भी चेंजेस होते हैं सी ड्राइव से रिलेटेड या साइज से रिलेटेड, सो VM इज गोइंग टू गेट रीस्टार्टेड. अगर डेटा डिस्क से रिलेटेड कोई भी चेंजेस होते हैं, सो that can be done on the running environment. So now it is updating my disk, and let's see what is going to happen. And you can always change the storage type as well. See, साइज प्लस परफॉर्मेंस में आपको यहाँ पे SSD से अगर प्रीमियम SSD या स्टैंडर्ड HDD में लेके जाना है, so that options are also available. But again, you have to do the deallocation. So this is also one of the scenario based thing that we can always change the storage type from standard HDD to standard SSD or premium. So आप उसको भी change कर सकते हो if you want to. And let's see if it is possible in the C drive as well or not. तो disk मेरी update हो गई है, but if I go to the OS disk, which is my C drive, so here if you go to the size plus performance, तो आप sizes तो change कर सकते हो, and here also you can always change the performance. So you have to keep in mind. Now let me connect to the VM, क्योंकि मेरी VM उस time disconnect हो गई थी. So let me take the remote again and let me show you. I have increased the disk size to 16 GB, so 8 GB और मेरा extra वहाँ पे add हो गया होगा. Let me show you. This is the IP. Connect. So we are in the VM now, and if I go to the File Explorer, under this PC, you can see F drive still has the size of 8 GB around. तो यहाँ पे अभी भी 8 GB का ही size है, but we have added more 8 GB space. So what we have to do, we have to go to the disk management to increase the size inside the VM. So go to the disk management, and from here you can see 8 GB more space has been added. So you have to merge it with the existing F drive. So just right click on the F drive, and there is one option to extend volume. So extend करके आप इसको यहाँ पे merge कर सकते हो. Next, how much size you want to merge, you can define it. 8 GB में से कितना space आपको इसमें add करना है. So I want to add complete 8 GB. So in MB it is going to be 8192, which is default. Next, next, and finish. Now the complete size has been incremented to 16 GB around. And if you go to the file explorer, so you can see that. See. So this is how it works. So data request, the storage request, and these kind of things you should know. These are one of the fundamental thing that you should be aware about it. So in this video, we discussed about the disk types, the storages, the addition, removal, etc. For now, I am going to just wrap up this call. So we will connect in the next session regarding next topic. Hope you enjoyed it. So thank you very much for your timing. See you in the next session. Bye.